Hi, in this video I'll show you how to create a KPI list, which is similar to the out-of-the-box SharePoint KPI web part, but it provides you with the ability to create more flexible KPIs with also the ability to create more flexible conditions for the display of the KPI icons, and also you can add additional columns to this list, unlike the out-of-the-box KPI web part. In this example I have two KPIs. Each one of them is connected to a different source and runs a different summary function and has different conditions for the KPI icon. The first one is called number of closed risks, and it shows the value of 1. This is based on a risks list which exists on another site, and it counts the number of closed risks. So as you can see, I have only a single item here which is in status closed, and that's why we see here in the value of 1. The second KPI is called total build milestones. This one is based on the milestones list, which again is on another site, and this KPI doesn't count the items. It summarizes the value of the column called billable amount, but only for the completed milestones. So in this example I have two completed milestones. It's milestone number 4 and number 10, so it summarizes the value of 15,000 and 10,000. So that's why we get here the value of 25,000. And we have these KPI icons with their tooltips, and they're based on conditions, which I'll show you a bit later. Each one displays a different tooltip and so on. Okay, so how was this configured? To create such a calculated column, the value column, which aggregates values from another list and runs a summary function, I'm using a QuizCom custom column, which is called aggregated calculation field type. This is one of our products. And to display these icons based on values of various columns here, I'm using another product which is called KPI column. And this one just displays KPIs based on conditions. Let's see now how I configured the value column. So I'm going to the list settings, and as you can see, I have some additional columns I didn't mention, like site, list, and view. I'll talk about them in a few minutes. Let's go first to the value column, which is an aggregated calculation column. This is a QuizCom custom column. Okay, so what do we have here? This column can connect to some site and to some list and a view and a column, and then it runs this view, and then it can run some summary function on the results that we get from this remote view. And it does some additional things, like you can cache the values and auto refresh and so on. Now as you can see, we don't have here an actual URL, a fixed URL, and you don't see here a list name and a view name and a column name. Instead, you see tokens. You see a token called site. A token is a value that is surrounded by brackets, as you see here, and a list and a view. What are these tokens? These are actually column names. So I have in my current list 3 additional columns that I didn't show you, which are called site, list, view, and column. 4 additional columns. Now what's the purpose of these columns? Since I want every item to connect to a different source, I don't want to configure fixed values for the entire value column, because all my items will have the same source. So the source will be defined for each item based on the values of these columns. Let's go back to our list and see how this works. So let's look at the first item here, number of closed risks. I told you it connects to the risks list, right? Let's look how it's configured. So you see that the site is called project 1, the list is called risks, and I'm connecting to the all closed risks, and I'm getting the exposure column, and I'm counting the number of items returned from this view. Okay, this is the view. Let's go there. All closed risks. This is the view that I'm connected to by using these values in the site, list, view, and column. Now, if we'll go to the second KPI here, I have different values. Site is the same site because the milestones list is in the same site, project 1, but I'm connected to a different list, the milestones list, and I'm connected to a view called completed. And the value is defined by running a sum function and not a count function, which summarizes the values. So this way, by using columns that hold the values of the project name, list name that I want to connect, and the view name, I can have each of my KPI items here, each one connects to a different source, a different site, different list, different view. So this is how we implemented this value column. Once we are able to get these dynamic values, aggregated values for each KPI from a different source, we want to display some KPIs based on some conditions. Let's see how the KPI column is configured. So I'm going to the list settings again. This time I'm going to the status column, which is a KPI field type. This is another QuizCom product. And this column is very simple. First of all, you need to say which type of indicator of KPI you want to display, a progress bar or an icon. Then you define where do you want to display it. Do you want to display it in this column or maybe in another existing column? And then you simply select the icon that you want to display, and it comes with a couple of icons that we provide with the product, but you can add your own custom icons, images if you want. And then you configure your condition, and the condition is based on column values. Now, as you can see, I already configured 5 rules here below, and let's look at the rules. So the first rule says display this success icon, and the condition is value column. Value, if you remember, this is the column that gets the aggregated calculated values from different sources. This is the value of the KPI. So if the value is greater than 2 and the list equal to risks, so this will look only in the first KPI item, then display this icon with the tooltip excellent. And the second one, display this warning icon if value equals 1 and the list equal risks. And I display this error icon if value equals 0 and the list equals risks. So the first 3 rules apply to the first KPI, which is connected to the risks list. The 2 additional KPI icons apply to the second KPI item, which brings the completed milestones billable value. So how I configure them: the first one shows success icon if the value is greater than 29,999, so it's 30,000 or above, and if list equals milestones. So this way I can make sure this rule applies only to the second item where the list column value equals milestones. And same goes for the last rule that displays an error icon if the value is less than 30,000. So the result is having KPI list where each of these items is connected to a different source and also has different rules for its KPI display, which can be a lot more flexible, by the way. They don't have to be just based on values greater than or less than, but also include additional conditions based on other columns in this list.